The coffee was still scalding when it hit her face. Maria didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stood there, dripping, staring at the woman who threw it. While 3 tables away, a man everyone in that room secretly answered to had already stood up, and what he said next would end a career, expose a lie, and change a stranger's life forever. If stories like this move you, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner Stories, and tell us your city and country below. Now, back to the story. Maria Delgado had waited tables at Bellamy's for 3 years. Quiet and unnoticed, the kind of employee who showed up even when her landlord was threatening eviction over medical debt from her husband's surgery. She never complained. She never made a scene. That Thursday, Bellamy's was hosting a private dinner for Sterling Cross, a billionaire investor who rarely appeared in public. He sat alone in the corner booth, watching the room quietly, the way someone watches a place that means more to him than anyone realizes. At table 12 sat Diane Whitfield, celebrating her anniversary, 3 drinks past sober. When Maria's elbow accidentally grazed her handbag while refilling water, Diane grabbed her cappuccino and threw it directly into Maria's face. "Do you know who I am?" Diane shrieked. "You'll be cleaning toilets by tomorrow, you clumsy little—" Maria wiped her face with trembling hands and quietly apologized. Arguing meant losing her job. She'd learned that the hard way years ago. Sterling was already crossing the room. "Say that again," he said quietly, standing beside table 12. The restaurant fell dead silent. Diane, flushed with wine and fury, didn't recognize him. "Excuse me? This clumsy girl just—" "Her name," Sterling interrupted, voice low and sharp, "is Maria Delgado, and I know that name better than you might think." Diane blinked, confused. Maria looked up too, equally startled. She had no idea who this man was. 12 years ago, Sterling continued, a warehouse fire broke out at Halden Manufacturing. I was 26, working the night shift to pay my way through business school, trapped on the 2nd floor with 3 other men when the stairwell collapsed. A young line worker named Carlos Delgado climbed through a service duct most people wouldn't fit through, and pulled all 4 of us out one at a time before the roof came down. I never got to properly thank him. I looked for him for years afterward, but he'd already moved on, changed jobs, and I lost the trail. The room was frozen. Maria's hand flew to her mouth. "Carlos Delgado was my husband," she whispered. Sterling nodded slowly. "I recognized the surname the moment I heard the manager use it earlier tonight. I wasn't certain until just now, but I am now." Diane, sensing the ground shifting beneath her, tried to recover. "I didn't know who her husband was. That has nothing to do with—" "It has everything to do with it," Sterling said, turning to her fully. "Because it means the man who saved my life is home right now, likely still recovering from medical bills his wife works 6-day weeks to pay off, while working a job where women like you throw hot coffee in her face and call her clumsy for the crime of existing near your handbag." Diane's husband grabbed her arm. Mortified, stammering apologies neither Sterling nor Maria were listening to anymore, Sterling turned back to Maria, his voice gentle now. "Take tonight off fully paid, please, and come to my office Monday if you're willing. There's a debt I've owed your family for 12 years, and I intend to finally pay it." Maria arrived Monday morning still in disbelief, half convinced she'd misunderstood everything. Sterling's office was modest for a man of his wealth, no different really from how he'd carried himself Thursday night. "Carlos never wanted anything for what he did," Sterling said. He told the paramedics that night he was just doing his job. "I've spent 12 years wishing I'd fought harder to find him and thank him properly. I don't intend to lose that chance twice." He slid a folder across the desk. Inside was full coverage of Carlos's remaining medical debt. A paid position for Maria in his company's finance department with tuition support to finish the accounting degree she'd abandoned years ago, and a handwritten note for Carlos himself. Maria stared at it, unable to speak. "This isn't charity," Sterling said, reading her hesitation. "This is 12 years overdue. Your husband gave me the rest of my life. The least I can do is make sure his family never has to fight this hard just to survive it." Video of the confrontation. filmed by a diner that night, spread rapidly online once local news picked up the story, not just for Diane's cruelty, but for the extraordinary coincidence that had unraveled behind it. Diane Whitfield's husband issued a public apology, though the story followed them for months afterward. Bellamy's instituted a strict zero-tolerance policy for customer abuse toward staff, citing the incident directly in every new hire's training. Carlos, still walking with a slight limp from the accident years later, cried when Maria showed him Sterling's letter at their kitchen table that night. "I don't even remember his face," he admitted quietly. "I just remember it was dark and there were people trapped and I couldn't leave them there." Maria started her new position 2 weeks later. Within a year, she'd finished her degree and earned her first promotion. She still keeps her old Bellamy's name tag in a drawer, not from bitterness, but as a reminder of the night, a stranger's memory reached back 12 years to change everything. Sterling visits their home sometimes now, no longer as a billionaire but as a friend, sharing dinner at the same small kitchen table where Maria and Carlos once wondered how they'd survive the month. "People think debts like that fade with time," Sterling said once, when a reporter asked why he'd gone to such lengths for a man he'd met only once in the dark 12 years ago. "They don't. They wait. And when you finally get the chance to repay one, you don't waste it." If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Kindness Corner Stories for more real tales of justice and kindness every week. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.